The Giver by Lois Lowry. In a meticulously controlled and isolated society devoid of color, weather, or deep emotion, an introspective and highly observant 11-year-old boy named Jonas feels a creeping sense of apprehension. Unlike his peers, Jonas is careful with his language and thoughtful about his world. His community operates on strict rules of sameness, where every aspect of life, from careers to spouses to children, is carefully monitored and assigned by a committee of elders. Jonas lives with his assigned family unit, his father, a gentle and soft-spoken nurturer who cares for infants, his mother, a practical and rule-adherent official at the Department of Justice, and his younger sister, Lily, a chatty and fiercely impatient 7-year-old. As the month of December approaches, the entire community prepares for the annual ceremonies, where children advance in age groups and receive new responsibilities. For Jonas and his age mates, it is the ceremony of 12, the momentous occasion where they will be assigned their lifelong careers. During this period of preparation, Jonas's father brings home a sickly new child named Gabriel. Gabriel is a fretful, restless infant who struggles to sleep, and the father hopes that extra nighttime nurturing will prevent the baby from being labeled inadequate and subsequently released, a mysterious process of permanent removal from the community. Jonas notices that Gabriel shares a rare physical anomaly with him: pale, light eyes in a community where almost everyone has dark eyes. These eyes seem to hold a strange depth. Around this time, Jonas also experiences inexplicable perceptual anomalies. While tossing an apple with his best friend Asher, a cheerful, fast-talking, and notoriously clumsy boy, Jonas notices the apple momentarily change in some indescribable way. He cannot put words to the shift, but it marks him as different, setting the stage for the profound isolation he is about to experience. The community gathers in the grand auditorium for the 2-day December ceremonies. The early ceremonies pass with their usual orderly precision, including Lily becoming an 8 and a group of 9s receiving their bicycles, a symbol of independence. Finally, it is time for the 12s. The chief elder, a vibrant and commanding woman, addresses the crowd and begins distributing assignments. Jonas watches as his friends receive their futures. Asher is aptly named Assistant Director of Recreation, while Fiona, a quiet, polite, and exceptionally gentle girl, is assigned as caretaker of the old. As the numbers are called, Jonas's number, 19, is inexplicably skipped. A tense, unprecedented silence falls over the crowd. After the rest of the assignments are handed out, the chief elder apologizes to the community and calls a terrified Jonas to the stage. She announces that Jonas has not been assigned, but rather selected for the most honored and solitary position in the community, the next receiver of memory. He is chosen for his intelligence, integrity, courage, and a mysterious trait she calls the capacity to see beyond. When Jonas looks out at the audience, he sees their faces momentarily change, just as the apple did, confirming the chief elder's words. Jonas's new life immediately separates him from his friends and family. He is given a single sheet of startling rules. He is forbidden from discussing his training. He is exempted from rules governing rudeness. He cannot apply for medication for training-related injuries. And, most shockingly, he is granted the permission to lie. Reporting to his first day of training at the annex behind the House of the Old, Jonas meets the current receiver. He is an old, heavily wrinkled man with a beard and pale, shadowed eyes that carry the weight of immense exhaustion. The man explains that he is now to be called the Giver, and his job is to transmit to Jonas all the memories of the whole world from before their community was established, stretching back for generations. He tells Jonas that the community traded unpredictable elements like weather, hills, and true emotion for the safety and predictability of sameness and climate control. The training begins with Jonas lying face down on a bed while the Giver places his hands on his bare back. Suddenly, Jonas is no longer in the room. He is atop a snow-covered hill, sitting on a sled, and rushing down through crisp, freezing air. It is a thrilling, exhilarating experience. When he opens his eyes, the Giver explains that the memory has now been completely transferred to Jonas, lightening the old man's immense burden. They continue with memories of sunshine and warmth, though the Giver gently introduces the concept of pain by transmitting the stinging sensation of a sunburn. As the days pass, Jonas realizes what his capacity to see beyond truly is. He is beginning to see colors. The giver gives him the memory of a rainbow, teaching him the names of colors that have been bred out of the community. Jonas begins to see the bright green of grass and the startling red of Fiona's hair, though the colors only flash briefly before fading back to a flat, hueless gray. Frustrated, Jonas argues that people should be allowed to experience colors and make choices, but quickly realizes the community's logic. If people are allowed to choose, they might choose wrong, and choice is inherently unsafe. The gentle phase of Jonas's training ends as the giver begins to transfer the truly agonizing memories required to gain the wisdom the community occasionally demands. Jonas experiences the sheer terror of crashing on an icy hill and breaking his leg, feeling the slicing, fiery pain of torn flesh and bone. Because he is forbidden from receiving medication for his training, he must carry the lingering ache home with him, hiding his suffering from his family who have never known true physical distress. The agony escalates. The giver transfers the excruciating spasms of starvation and the chaotic, blood-soaked horror of warfare. In a traumatic memory of a battlefield, Jonas watches a young, dirt-streaked soldier beg for water before dying right in front of him. Jonas is overwhelmed by the grief, the grotesque colors of the carnage, and the agonizing cries of dying men and horses. Through these experiences, Jonas learns what true anger, sadness, and suffering are, rendering the shallow evening feeling sharing of his family a hollow mockery. To help Jonas cope with the unbearable pain, the giver balances the agonizing sessions with memories of profound joy, such as a brisk sail on a blue-green lake and a cozy holiday morning filled with warmth, family, and grandparents. From this memory, Jonas learns a powerful, dangerous new concept: love. When he goes home and asks his parents if they love him, they chuckle and chastise him for using such an obsolete, imprecise word, asking him instead if they enjoy him. This emotional disconnect drives a wedge between Jonas and the world he once knew. He realizes his friends, Asher and Fiona, are trapped in a meaningless existence, playing pretend games of war without understanding the true horror of it. Jonas finds his only solace in the new child Gabriel. When Gabriel is brought into Jonas's room to sleep, he becomes restless and cries. Operating on instinct, Jonas places his hands on Gabriel's back and successfully transmits the calming memory of a sailboat. He realizes he has a power he shouldn't possess, but he continues to soothe the infant each night with beautiful, warm memories, forging a deep, secret bond of love with the child. Seeking to understand the dangers of his role, Jonas asks the giver about the previous failed receiver, a girl named Rosemary. The giver reveals that Rosemary was his own daughter. She was bright and eager, but when he gave her memories of emotional anguish, poverty, terror, and the loss of a child, she couldn't bear it. She bypassed the rules and requested release. When she was released, her memories flooded the community, causing widespread chaos because the citizens lacked the wisdom to handle the pain. This conversation sparks Jonas's curiosity about release, especially since his father is scheduled to release the smaller of a set of identical twins that very day. Using the annex's video screens, the giver plays the recording of the morning's twin release. Jonas watches closely as his gentle father weighs the infants, takes the smaller one, and calmly injects a lethal fluid directly into a vein in the newborn's forehead. The baby spasms and dies, and his father cheerfully places the corpse into a carton and shoves it down a trash chute, waving goodbye. The horrifying truth crashes down on Jonas. His father is a murderer, and release is nothing more than state-sanctioned execution. The giver reveals that Rosemary injected herself and that Fiona is currently being trained in the art of release for the old. Shattered, weeping, and utterly disgusted with his family and his community, Jonas refuses to return home. He spends the night with the giver, and together they formulate a desperate, unprecedented plan. Jonas will escape the community and travel beyond the boundaries to elsewhere. By leaving permanently, all the memories he has received will be forced back into the minds of the citizens. The giver will stay behind to guide the community through the ensuing emotional chaos, using his remaining wisdom to help them rebuild a society that embraces true feelings, color, and choice. They plan to stage Jonas's death by leaving his bicycle by the rushing river, assuming the community will think he drowned. The giver promises to spend the next 2 weeks transferring memories of immense strength and courage to Jonas to help him survive the wilderness. However, the meticulous plan unravels that very evening. When Jonas returns to his dwelling to wait for the planned escape date, his father casually mentions that Gabriel's nighttime fussiness at the nurturing center has sealed his fate. The infant was voted to be released the very next morning. Faced with the imminent murder of the baby he loves, Jonas abandons the plan and flees immediately in the dead of night. He steals his father's larger bicycle, which has a child seat attached, grabs Gabriel, and pedals away into the darkness. He commits several major transgressions, leaving a dwelling at night, stealing food, and taking the bicycle, knowing that if he is caught, he will be executed. The journey is brutal and terrifying. Jonas travels only by night to avoid the heat-seeking search planes soaring overhead. Whenever he hears the roar of their engines, he dives into the brush and transmits freezing memories of snow to Gabriel, dropping their body temperatures so they remain undetected by the thermal sensors. As the days bleed into weeks, the planes eventually stop coming, but a new set of perils emerges. The predictable flat roads give way to narrow, rutted paths, thick forests, and steep hills. Jonas encounters wildlife, birds, deer, and foxes, and the erratic reality of weather, shivering through days of freezing rain. Without the scheduled food deliveries of the community, Jonas and Gabriel face starvation. Jonas manages to catch a few fish with a makeshift net and forages for berries, but it is not enough. He uses fading memories of banquets to trick his stomach, but the physical reality of his starving, weakened body takes a severe toll. He is tormented by the realization that if he had stayed, he would be well fed, but he knows staying would have meant the death of Gabriel and a life devoid of love. As they reach the base of a massive, but snow-covered hill, the harsh winter weather closes in. The bicycle is useless in the deep snow, and Jonas is forced to abandon it. Wrapping Gabriel to his own freezing chest, Jonas trudges up the steep incline, his legs numb and his body pushed to the absolute limit. He uses the very last wisps of warm memories he possesses, sunshine and crackling fires, to keep Gabriel and himself from freezing to death in the storm. Every step is agony, but as he nears the summit, a sudden flood of his own true memories, of his friends, the giver, and the joy he has experienced, renews his spirit. At the top of the hill, seemingly waiting for him, is a sled. It is exactly like the one from his very first transmitted memory. Jonas climbs aboard, clutching Gabriel tightly, and they speed down the hill through the swirling snow. As they descend, Jonas sees a village ahead. The windows are glowing with the warm, colorful lights of holiday trees, the red, blue, and yellow of a world that remembers love. As he glides toward the welcoming lights, he hears people singing. For the first time in his life, he hears music rising up to greet him, knowing with absolute certainty that he and the baby have finally reached elsewhere.